Platform games are nothing without boss battles. Because platformers focus on movement-based gameplay over combat, boss fights are what add the game's personal conflict and drama. In this video, I want to argue that Naughty Dog took the weakest boss of the original Crash Bandicoot and evolved his design into the best boss of the trilogy. Koala Kong is one of the less memorable fights of Crash Bandicoot 1. You're on a 2D plane, dodging and returning projectiles. The small rocks you evade, the heavy ones you spin back. TNT crates drop down and act as area denial, but really it's a pretty basic fight, and most players will get through on their first attempt. But did you know there's an unused mechanic programmed into this fight? The heavy rocks can be pushed around to change the angle of attack. But because they have auto-aim, it never makes any difference. Kong, to put it bluntly, is an unfinished boss. His assets and the lava theme come from the scrapped lava levels of the Crash prototype. His mechanics aren't finished. Even using TNT crates as an attack kind of feels like a placeholder. But Naughty Dog didn't just leave Kong like that. The design was reused for Neo Cortex.
Done, Crash Bandicoot!
You're on a 2D plane, dodging and returning projectiles. This time though, the mechanics are more complex, as each coloured plasma bolt has different properties, the most dangerous being blue. Now, the limited field of view becomes an interesting challenge, as we have to balance dodging the on-screen attacks with anticipating off-screen ones. What's interesting from a design perspective is that by adding one attack, we've taken a limitation of the Kong design, the close-up camera, and turned it into a strength. But Naughty Dog still wasn't satisfied with that.
Like Dr. Cortex said, eat the 20 crystals you have collected from me!
Engine in Crash 2 recycles the design. You're still on a 2D plane, dodging and returning projectiles. This time though, Crash can throw Wumpa Fruit as an attack. Every time Engine fires at you, his weapon has a window of vulnerability. But you can only fire in a straight line, so you have to stay close to his weapons. Adding back the aiming mechanic turns the fight into a game of cat and mouse. You've got to balance attack and defense, whilst dealing with Engine's own off-screen attacks. By adding this single new mechanic, we're forcing the player to multitask. But you see, that wasn't the end for Kong's design either. Engine returns in Crash 3 with an upgraded design. You're still on a 2D plane, dodging and returning projectiles. And like before, you can only damage Engine's weapons for a short window after each attack. His main weapon are these missiles, and they're tough to evade by movement alone. The best approach is to shoot them down. However, firing at a missile means you aren't firing at Engine, so the player is always balancing the risk of getting hit with the reward for hitting back. Do I shoot down a missile, or do I try and regroup? Now I have a health bar, I can take calculated risks. This fight becomes a really interesting balance of power. Engine starts ferociously, dealing attacks from every angle. Initially, you spend most of your time playing defense. Once his body parts fall away though, the balance of power flips. And now it's Engine who's under pressure.
Not again!
What's so interesting to me though is that all these ideas had their seeds in the original Kong fight. Balancing attack and evasion, attacks that come off screen, an aiming mechanic that commits you to danger. Fighting Engine's mecha on the moon is literally the high point of the Crash series. It seems like a creative leap, but when we look closely, we see running straight through the same creative DNA.